This is Ethan. He's 28, lives in Austin, Texas, and spends 2 nights a week making the long, desolate run between Phoenix and Tucson on I-10. And his office for these long trips is a 2022 Tesla Model Y. Last Wednesday at 2:47 a.m., Ethan was passing mile marker 185 in the middle of the Sonoran Desert. He remembers it clearly: a Red Bull in the console, the music loud, and the autopilot switched off. He didn't like using the driver assist features after dark. He arrived home, plugged the car into its charger, and went to bed. It was a completely unremarkable trip. Ethan was awake, alert, and in total physical control of the vehicle for every mile of that desert stretch. But the car's internal sensors were building a different record. At 7 a.m., Ethan's phone buzzed with a notification he'd never seen before. The Tesla app was reporting a driver safety event for fatigue and suggested he review the interior dashcam footage. He opened the clip from 2:47 a.m. It showed his head tilted back and eyes shut, dead asleep. The dash showed the car doing 81 miles per hour with his hands idle. Ethan watched it 5 times. The same hoodie, the same watch, and the same haircut were his. But he knew for a fact that at that exact moment, he was singing along to the radio, wide awake. He checked the exterior camera view from the same timestamp. The road was empty, but the icon on the screen was glowing blue. The autopilot had been engaged, despite Ethan knowing he'd never turned it on. He called Tesla service, but the representative just pointed to the logs. The car's data showed the autopilot was activated at 2:46 a.m., and the driver's eyes were closed for over 4 minutes. In the technician's words, "The car doesn't lie." Ethan was left caught between his own memory and a digital file that proved he was unconscious at 80 miles per hour. One of those realities had to be a fabrication. Ethan stayed home the next night, but at 2:46 a.m., his phone buzzed. His Tesla, locked and charging in the dark garage, had just triggered its climate control on its own, dropping the interior temperature to 61 degrees. Then came the second alert: Sentry Mode event, inside cabin. Ethan opened the live feed. The driver's seat was empty, but the steering wheel was twitching left and right as if following the road. And in the back seat, leaning forward toward the console, was the sleeping version of Ethan. Same hoodie, eyes closed. Panic set in. He stayed up for the rest of the night, searching for any reports of similar glitches at mile marker 185. He found an article from June 2021. A 28-year-old man named Ethan Miller had been killed when his Tesla drifted off the road at mile marker 185. The crash time was 2:47 a.m. The cause: the driver fell asleep. The logs at Tesla service weren't a glitch. They were a perfect match. It was the same MAME, the exact same age, driving the same car at the exact same second. The car was following a record of a drive that had already ended in a death. Ethan decided he had to drive the route again to prove his own sanity. But as he prepared to leave, the app sent a final, unrequested update: software update complete. He hit the stretch at 2:44 a.m., his hands white-knuckled on the wheel. He talked out loud, refusing to let the silence of the desert settle in. At 2:46:13, the center screen flickered and the autopilot wheel turned blue. The female voice announced the system was engaged, and the steering wheel was violently ripped from his hands by the car's internal motors. The air conditioning blasted to max cold, and the interior camera light turned red. On the dashboard screen, Ethan saw his terrified face in the driver's seat, but a ghost image overlaid on top of him showed him asleep. He looked in the rearview mirror. The other Ethan was in the back seat, leaning forward. His eyes slowly opened, revealing nothing but solid white pupils. Through the radio static, Ethan heard his own voice whisper, "Switch with me. I'm so tired." Ethan violently slammed on the brakes, threw the vehicle into park, and immediately bolted out the driver's side door. He stood in the sand, chest heaving, as the car sat idling alone on the shoulder of I-10. At 2:51 a.m., the car turned itself off and locked the doors. When the diagnostics were run the next day, they found nothing. The car's memory only showed a 4-minute period where the driver was peacefully asleep. Ethan sold the Tesla immediately and bought a 2010 Toyota. No cameras, no internet connection, and no automated systems. He thought that by going back to basics, he could leave the loop behind. He deleted the app and tried to move on. For a few days, it seemed like the analog world was a safe haven, but at 2:47 a.m. last night, his phone buzzed. It was an email from the Tesla account he thought he'd closed. It was a notification that his vehicle had finished charging. Attached was a dashcam clip. Ethan watched the video. It was filmed from the dashboard of his Toyota, a car with no cameras. The camera panned from the ceiling down to Ethan's bed, where he was currently asleep. And there, standing in the corner of the room, was the figure in the hoodie with the white eyes. The figure leaned into the frame, staring directly into the lens. In a tired, distant voice, he whispered the final instruction: "Your turn to drive."